is Terrence Copper, NFL veteran.
It's your boy DC Golden.
What's going on, everybody? My name is Bud Supreme.
DJ Johnson, wide receiver for East Carolina University.
It's Jordan Adams with the Los Angeles Angels.
Packard, baseball player for the Detroit Tigers, and you're watching Good Talk.
Good talk.
Good talk.
Good talk.
It's good talk.
Hey yo! Welcome back.
Hey yo, you better pray 6 times a day, praise both. Kill you and your mans with the same scope. Your lanes broken, pockets longer than train smoke. I let your brains flow. Fatality shells.
Welcome to the Good Talk Podcast. It's JJ.
I walk through your blood
Hey,
happily.
we got a lot to get through in a short amount of time, so I'm rolling today. I'm rolling today. Keep up.
Calling in factories.
Don't get left behind.
Meal plus a art. Used to sit in my cell in the dark.
Shout out BSF the movement.
My boots tight,
Yeah.
knife sharp. If he died,
It's my fault.
I touch the sky with the top off. Hey, yo,
Dolce.
rock a bottle for half a man.
Half a man.
Rock Nation brunch style, but dapper Dan.
Dapper Dan.
Let's go and miss you when I'm
Done
done.
with the shit. The kitchen keep begging me to bag of grams. Hey yo.
My jewelry looking precious. I'm from the east side.
Shit treacherous.
Word on the street, I got the better shit. Fiends drooling and scratching, man. 10 action, wait till Sunday. Catch you coming out church lacking. Who you pray to? Out to see unless I shot the case smooth. The ambulance playing the same tune, I can't lose. You should have seen it in the lobby at the St. Regis scene out of Miami Vice. I let the plate lead. Another autopsy, who the fuck shot it? We all shot. At least 100 shells out the Robbie cocaine spots.
Hey, by the way, I did not forget about my Panthers review. That will be releasing tomorrow, Friday, November the 5th. I did not forget about it. I promise. And I got a lot of shit to talk, cause the way that defense looked. Oh my God. Again, welcome to the Good Talk Podcast. I'm your host, JJ. I appreciate you being with us. If you're watching on YouTube, go ahead and click that subscribe button for me. Like the video, drop a comment, all of that good stuff. If you're not familiar with the YouTube and you're listening just solely to the audio on Spotify or another DSP, go ahead and subscribe to us on YouTube, Goodies and Two Shoes, on IG at G2S Good Talk Pod, also on IG at Goodies and Two Shoes, Twitter at 2_goodies, TikTok at goodies dot the letter N the number 2 dot shoes. And welcome in. This is episode 18, I want to say 18 or 19, one of the two. I kind of get lost with the numbers a little bit just because, I record so much, and then I record different podcasts as far as the Panthers pod. I did a special with Jordan Adams. If you haven't heard that one already, that is also on the YouTube. We dropped that as a YouTube video first before we had all the equipment and everything. So do apologize for the audio quality for that particular episode. But we do have that on YouTube, and it also is on all DSPs as well. And I believe the title is just Good Talk with Jordan Adams. So you're able to find that as well. So yeah, man, welcome back. It's been a long week, man. It's been a long week. A lot of news to go through. The incident with Henry Ruggs, just really devastating news there. The outbreak within the Green Bay Packers organization. Aaron Rodgers lying about his vaccine. However, I mean, if that's how you received it, because to me, he lied about it. And I think that there should be punishment for him lying about it. But we'll dive into that a little bit deeper. The Cowboys were able to get it done with no Dak Prescott. So what does that hold going forward for as far as their approach to how to handle the Dak Prescott injury? So that's something that we'll take a look at as well. Take a look at some scores. Congratulations to the Atlanta Braves, the saviors of the universe. The saviors of the universe. I think that 99% of America was going for the Atlanta Braves, and the other 1% were strictly just Houston resident. So I'm so ecstatic that the Atlanta Braves were able to close the job out in Houston. So yeah, just a lot to go through. Again, I have a short amount of time today, so I'm going to try to move as quick as possible. Just give you guys some news, give you guys a quick opinion or two, and then we'll move on. Today will be a little bit different again. We're going to go at a bit of a faster rate so we can get through this, and then we'll go from there. All right, so let's go ahead and jump right into our scores from Week 8 in the NFL and then our scores from last night as well. All right, so from Tuesday night, the Braves shut out the Astros to win their first World Series in 26 years. Jorge Soler becomes just the second Cuban player to win World Series MVP. What a run for the Braves after the devastating Acuna injury. I think that me, as well as probably about 75-80% of the world, thought that the Atlanta Braves were done. So for them to be able to get over that hump alone, make some great moves at the deadline to bring in some big names, get some great hitters, great just overall baseball players, to get those guys in and to make the run that they made to win the World Series. I mean, just outstanding, really. Congratulations to the Atlanta Braves and their fan base as well. I don't know why I said fan base like that. I don't know why I put so much emphasis on it. But, yeah, shout out to you guys. Another round of applause just because that is a major feat. Let's jump into Week 8 of the NFL. The Saints upset the Bucs in the Superdome 36-27. Unfortunately for the Saints, Jameis Winston, quarterback, did exit that game early. Before his exit, he went for 56 yards and a touchdown. Trevor Siemian then came in to relieve him. Went 16 of 29 for 159 and a touchdown. 61 yards and a touchdown for Kamara. For the Bucs, Brady had 375 for 4 touchdowns and 2 interceptions. Huge day for Chris Godwin. 8 catches for 140 yards and also added a touchdown. The Bengals choke against the Jets. This was one of the bigger stories and headlines for Sunday as far as I was concerned. The Bengals choke against the Jets. New York wins 34-31. Mesmerizing performance simply from quarterback Mike White. As we know, Zach Wilson did go down last week. So Mike White, did get the start. He went for 405 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions. He completed 37 of his 45 passes. Really just a crazy percentage for a guy that's starting his first ever having his first ever start in the NFL. Just a crazy stat line, really. Michael Carter also had a phenomenal game. 77 yards for him on 15 rushes and a touchdown. Carter also added 9 catches for 95 yards. So, yeah, just a great performance from the New York Jets. They came in to prove a point, and they proved that point. So that makes me look at the AFC North a little bit different. Actually, it gives me a little bit more clarity because I don't think my stance has changed or will change, but it just gives me more clarity on the situation. So, yeah. No Prescott, no problem for the Dallas Cowboys as they travel to Minnesota. And they get a huge road win, a road win that, again, tells me a lot about the football team itself and how I foresee the Dallas Cowboys playing out the Dak Prescott injury. 20-16 was the final on Sunday Night Football. Cooper Rush with a performance that shocked the world, really. 24 of 40 for 325, 2 touchdowns and a pick. Huge day for all skill positions as it pertains to Dallas. 50 yards on the ground for Zeke. Amari goes 8 for 122 and a touchdown. CD goes 6 for 112. Cedric Wilson also added 3 catches for 84 yards. He also had a 30-plus yard bomb to CeeDee Lamb. I want to say that was either the second or third quarter, somewhere in that range. But it's a great day for the Dallas Cowboys as it pertains to stats. Dallas moves to 6-1 on the season with a more than comfortable lead atop of the NFC East. I do not believe that they'll even come close to be threatened for that top spot. I think the NFC East is wrapped up, and I think that Dallas actually is one of the few teams that are have solidified themselves a spot in this year's NFL playoffs. On the basketball, last night, Big Eastern Conference matchup against the Bulls and 76ers. The Bulls lose 103-98. Huge early win, in my opinion, for the 76ers. 22-5-3 from Seth Curry on 64% shooting. 18-9-7 from Embiid. And 18 from George Niang off the bench. For the Bulls, DeMar DeRozan goes for 37 for the second time in as many nights. DeMar also added 10 rebounds to his total and 27 points, 9 boards for Zach LaVine. I just want to point out that a lot of y'all, if you've known me for a while, a lot of y'all have pretty much shitted on me for my fandom of DeMar DeRozan. But with that being said, over his last 7 games, I'm going to try to run through these stats really quick. Last 7 games, 26-4-6, 21-6-6, 26-6-5, 25-3, 32-3-6, 37-2-7, 37-1-10. That's the last 7 games. So if we're being transparent and honest with each other, DeMar DeRozan is in the MVP race at this very moment. And that's something to watch out for the rest of the year. Because if DeMar DeRozan wins MVP, especially with the way the Chicago Bulls are playing, I mean, y'all will never hear the end of it from me. I'm gonna just go ahead and let y'all know right now. As you see, I got my Raptor shit on today, so yeah, I'm really out here repping for the city. And he's played an implemental role on what Toronto basketball has become. So yeah, here we go. I need to move on quicker. I apologize. Nets beat the Hawks 117-108 in Brooklyn. 32-7-5 from the Slim Reaper, 16 from Harden, 18 from Joe Harris. Off the bench, 14 for Patty Mills and 10 from LaMarcus Aldridge. For the Hawks, big night for DeAndre Hunter, 26 points for him, 21-9 for Trae Young, and he just went 6 of 22 from the field. So not a good shooting performance from him at all. So yeah, the Nets knock off the Hawks. The Raptors win their 5th straight last night after defeating the Wizards. Fred VanVleet with a stellar 33 points, 3 boards, and 6 rebounds. 21 from OG Anunoby, 15-5-3 for Gary Trent. For the Wizards, 25-7-7 for Bradley Beal, 15-10 for Trez off the bench, and really a comical 2 points on 1 of 10 shooting for Kyle Kuzma. So I mean, as time goes on, I understand why LeBron had to ship that nigga away from LA, because he just doesn't have it. And trust me, I was one of those Kyle Kuzma fans. I was rooting for the guy, but he just simply doesn't have enough to get it done in the NBA. He'll have his games where he goes for 20 plus, 25 plus, but those just are not consistent enough for my liking. So Kyle Kuzma just simply does not have what it takes. And yeah, so we'll keep a close eye on Kyle Kuzma and the Washington Wizards as the season progresses. And last but not least, intriguing matchup in Golden State as a dynasty goes against the Young Guns from Charlotte. The Warriors dominate 114-92. Relatively quiet night from Steph Curry, 15-8-9 while shooting 6 of 15 from the floor. 31 points from Jordan Poole. He's really a dog. Jordan Poole is different. 14 off the bench for Gary Payton II. And Damian Lee also offered 15 off the bench as well. For the Hornets, huge night for Miles Bridges. He did everything within his power, going for 32-9, 23 for Gordon Hayward, 14, 5, and 8 for second-year phenom LaMelo Ball. So that was our scores from last week. Last night as well as last week, as it pertains to the NFL. And then Tuesday as well, with the Atlanta Braves closing out the Houston Astros for their first World Series win in 26 years. So that is what we have there. I'm going to go ahead and move on to our game of the week so we can keep this thing rolling. So for our game of the week, last week we had the Packers versus the Cardinals. I took the Cardinals by 10. The Packers actually won by 3. Really surprising to me. No Allen Lazard for Green Bay. No Devontae Adams. They were still able to get the job done. Kyler Murray took the boys all the way down the field to win the game. And then there's just a miscommunication. I don't know where the miscommunication happened. I don't know if there was a check. I don't know if AJ Green didn't get the call out of the huddle. I really don't know what happened. All I know is they get the Arizona Cardinals drive all the way down the field. They're on the 4 or 5 yard line, one of the two. I'm not 100% sure. And Kyler Murray throws a fade route to AJ Green, who was down the field run blocking. So big time interception for the Green Bay Packers to close out the game. So they did get it done, which in turn results in me losing my second or third consecutive game of the week. So I really don't know what's going on. I'm running cold right now. But I'm going to try and tighten up with this week. This week for our game of the week, we have the Titans and Rams. I'm going with the Rams. No Derrick Henry for approximately 6 to 10 weeks. We'll get into that a little bit. He suffered an injury Sunday. So again, we'll dive into that a little bit. But I do have the Rams. I think that the Rams have a little too much for the Titans, especially with no Derrick Henry. I think that the Titans will be a little shell-shocked with no Derrick Henry. I'm not sure what that offense will look like without him being present, because we know the amount of, weight that they put on his shoulders to make that offense, to help that offense be successful. I won't say to make that offense successful, but to help that offense become successful or be successful. We know the amount of weight he carries. So with no Derrick Henry for the first week, I do believe that the Los Angeles Rams will clip the Tennessee Titans. I have the Rams by 8. So there we go. That is it for our game of the week. Let's move on to some sports news. We got a lot to cover here. A lot to get into. Again, I'm going to try to move quick. I have a limited amount of time today. So we'll move through this relatively quick. So for our first story, again, the Atlanta Braves. I won't really dive into this too much, just because I have spoken on it a good amount for the beginning part of the show. But the Atlanta Braves, Noah Acuna, they suffered a couple of injuries and suspensions throughout the season, playing 500 baseball, for a good amount of time, make it to the divisional series. Everybody has the Dodgers winning. Everybody has the Dodgers winning. Nobody feels as though the Atlanta Braves, with that lineup that they had, with the way that Atlanta went out last year, being up 3-1, the injuries, what happened last year, all of that being, combined in thinking, and what you end up with is a large amount of the baseball community predicting the LA Dodgers to win. They go in, they clip the Dodgers, they handle them easily, get them gone, and they move on to the World Series. I came on the show and said, I want to say when we were in the divisional series still, I came in and said no matter what team came out, I felt as though the Houston Astros were gonna handle them easily. And boy, was I wrong. The Atlanta Braves, to me, really just dominated the whole series. Every game that the Houston Astros won, they had to win, because it just felt as though their backs were against the wall the whole series. Atlanta goes in game 1, steals game 1 from Houston in Houston. So then you have to come back and you have to respond by winning game 2, because if you do not win game 2, then you're ass out. So that's what the Houston Astros do. They win game 2. Atlanta proceeds to win games 3 and 4 at home. Actually flying out from Atlanta for game 5, I want to say. Right? Game 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, so game 5, I'm flying out. I was praying to God that I would touch down back in North Carolina and realize that the Braves had won the World Series. Unfortunately, they weren't able to get it done in Atlanta game 5. I know the city would have been crazy, absolutely nuts if they would have, but that's neither here nor there, because game Game 6, they go into Houston and they get the job done 7-0. Outstanding performance. Another round of applause for them. I don't think any of us at all had the Atlanta Braves winning the World Series this year, especially, again, with the injuries, the suspensions, et cetera, et cetera. None of us had the Atlanta Braves winning the World Series. I even know Atlanta Braves fans personally that didn't have the Braves winning the World Series. So, kudos to this team for standing behind the guys that they did have in the clubhouse, everybody rallying together and getting the job done. And again, being saviors of the universe, saving us from, another dreadful Houston Astros World Series. The cheating bastards got what they deserved. Let's just say that. Moving on. Saints quarterback Jameis Winston is out for the remainder of the season with a torn ACL. That's just simply not pleasant news for the New Orleans Saints. The New Orleans Saints, I want to say, are second in the NFC South currently. Let me get myself organized here, so we can take a look at some things and figure out how this will impact the Saints going forward. Let's see. So we have that. Let's take a look at what they have coming up as well. So yeah, the Saints second in the NFC South at 5-2. The Buccaneers are just they're right within their grasp at 6-2. The Saints did have their bye, I want to say 2 weeks ago. So that's why their games aren't quite matching up right now at this very moment. But if you look at the loss column, the Saints are right there with the Buccaneers. So this is really unfortunate news for the Saints. This year for Jameis Winston, 1,170 yards passing, 14 touchdowns, and 3 interceptions. So Jameis really was playing outstanding football, really. Nothing really jumped off the page from a passing yardage standpoint. If we look here, 148, 111, 128, 226, 279, 222. But like I said, nothing really jumps off the page as it pertains to that. But what jumps off the page really is him managing his turnovers, because we know the last time we saw Jameis Winston as a starting quarterback, 30-plus interceptions and 30-plus touchdowns. So it was just kind of like one of those things where you take the good with the bad. We knew he took unnecessary risks. We knew that he could barely see. In hindsight, we know that he was barely able to see at that point. So yeah, this is a huge blow for the Saints. I don't know what the Saints do. They didn't make a move at the trade deadline for a quarterback. They have a couple options. I'm always going to say Cam Newton is still available, because I do not believe that there's 32 guys. Matter of fact, if we do the math, I don't believe that there's 64 guys that are better than Cam Newton that are currently in the NFL. So Cam Newton is always an option. I saw Phillip Rivers said this week that he isn't completely opposed to, coming back and playing football as well. So they do have options. At this very moment, nothing has been done. I want to say Taysom Hill does come back from his concussion. He's been in protocol for about 3 or 4 weeks now. So Taysom Hill, I do believe, clear concussion protocol. And so it would be my assumption that the plan for the New Orleans Saints right now is to go forward with Taysom Hill as their starting quarterback and Trevor Siemian being that backup. So hopefully they're able to figure something out. I say hopefully just because I know it makes for great football when the Saints are good, especially when you have a team like the Tampa Bay Buccaneers sitting atop of that division right now, the defending Super Bowl champions. So we'll see. We'll see what happens with that with New Orleans. For the NFC South, 6-2 for the Bucs, 5-2 for the Saints, and 4-4 for the Carolina Panthers. So that division is really, really tight. I think Jameis Winston gave the New Orleans Saints the best option to win the division. So now I do believe that the Buccaneers probably will get that done. And I do, unfortunately, foresee the Saints dropping to that number 3 spot in the division. And I have them missing the playoffs. Let's take a look at who they have coming up. Let's see. So we have the Titans. I don't believe that they'll win that game, even with no Derrick Henry. I don't believe that they'll beat the Titans. November 7th, actually starting first, they play the Falcons. That is a very winnable game for them. I don't believe the Falcons have anything that threaten the New Orleans Saints. I think that Saints defense is on another level. The way they're flying around the field right now. We know that Calvin Ridley is down. On to our next story. Linebacker Jalen Smith was released from the Green Bay Packers Tuesday afternoon. It's safe to say for me, Jalen Smith just simply doesn't have what it takes anymore to compete at the NFL level. Unfortunately, it was a quick run for him. Very, very quick run. Was one of the more dominant linebackers in the NFL. I want to say about 2 or 3 years ago. Cut by Dallas this year, then signs with Green Bay, and then is then cut from the Green Bay Packers organization this week. So it's very unfortunate news, but that's just the life of an NFL player, man. It's up and down. It's a roller coaster. You have your highs, you have your lows, and sometimes, you can be as dominant as anybody else in the league, and 2 or 3 years later, you could be struggling to find a job. And that's what we're seeing right now for Jalen Smith. So very unfortunate for him. But the Green Bay Packers have moved on from linebacker Jalen Smith. Next, the Los Angeles Rams move on from veteran wide receiver Deshaun Jackson. This was kind of a move that shocked me a bit. Deshaun Jackson this year, 8 catches for 221 yards and a touchdown. But see, when you hear those stats, it's kind of like one of those things where, it was nothing that he was doing spectacular. But it's just the fact of the matter is that Deshaun Jackson adds a completely different dynamic to any offense that he goes to, because he can still blow the top off of any defense. And we saw that particularly in the Week 2 matchup against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, where he went for 3 catches, 120 yards, and 1 touchdown. And the fact of the matter about that is he could have had 2 or 3 touchdowns had Matthew Stafford not underthrown him that game a couple of times. So a move that shocked me. Last 3 matchups, I'm not sure if he played against Detroit. No stats to show for it right there in that particular matchup. Against the Giants, he had 1 catch for 6 yards. And then against Seattle, he had 1 catch for 68 yards. So that just goes to further my point that this guy can blow the top off of any defense, really, any coverage, just because he's that guy. He's simply that guy. He's been that guy since he's been a rookie in the NFL. He's always been an energizer bunny, so to speak. So this move kind of shocked me. I'm not quite sure what happened out in LA as it pertains to the relationship between Deshaun Jackson and the Rams, but they did move on from him. As I alluded to earlier, actually I stated it, Titans running back Derrick Henry suffered a foot injury Sunday against the Colts that will require surgery. Excuse me. This news was confirmed Monday by Titans head coach Mike Vrabel. Unfortunately for Derrick Henry and Tennessee, this could mark the end of what was shaping up to be yet another historic year for King Henry. This is really just a huge blow. This is a huge blow for the Tennessee Titans. I think that this changes a lot as it pertains to their division. I think that it changes a lot as it pertains to the conference, because the Tennessee Titans have won a couple of big games consecutively. We saw them beat the Bills. We saw them knock off the Colts. Now, that one was not as big, but if you look at it, it's a divisional matchup. So we all know what goes into these divisional matchups, especially when it comes down to, midway through the season, and you have people battling for positioning as it pertains to the division, as it pertains to the conference, et cetera, et cetera. So the Titans have won a couple of big games. I think that this injury will prove to be unbearable for the Titans. I do believe they'll still make the playoffs. I think they'll still win their division. I think they'll still win the AFC South. But come playoff time, I think that this is a huge blow. I really feel that way. Again, they've played the Colts twice already. They've knocked them off both times, played them this past Sunday. One in overtime, just due to the incompetence, really, of Carson Wentz. Carson Wentz is really, he's really a jackass, really. God, honest truth. I mean, I remember one of my boys, I won't name his name. Just for the sake of, I'll shoot him some bail right on this one. But just know, when Carson Wentz had that year that he had in 2017, 2018, whatever, where he was the MVP front runner, then he tore his ACL. Just know that this nigga was trying to tell me that Carson Wentz was the next great quarterback. Carson Wentz was going to be the next Brady. No. That's just simply not the case. So the Titans did beat the Colts this past weekend. So yeah, man, we saw them knock off the Bills 3 weeks ago. Then we saw them absolutely dismantle the Chiefs 27-3. So they've won 4 games in a row. The last loss came against the Jets October 3rd. I want to say that was week 4. Let me see. Yep, week 4. That was their last loss. Since then, they've won 4 straight. Formidable opponents as well. And really, it's a huge test Sunday night on Sunday Night Football against the LA Rams. Again, if you will recall, for our game of the week, we have the Rams and Titans. I have the Rams winning that game. But if the Titans do win, then it kind of changes my perspective on this Derrick Henry injury. Because then we're looking at it like, the Rams are one of the best teams in the NFL. We know that. Everybody can acknowledge that. If you've seen the way they played the first 8 weeks of the season, you see the brand of football they played. If you see the way Matthew Stafford is playing, he's playing like an MVP candidate. If the Titans should go into LA and somehow find a way to beat the Rams, we still have to look at the Titans like a contender in the AFC and really a possible threat to win the AFC championship. And we all know that it just takes one game to win the Super Bowl, because that's all it is. It's not like these other sports where you get 7 tries at it. You can afford a mistake here and there. No. You only have to be great for one game. So if the Tennessee Titans are able to go into LA and upset the Rams, we still must look at them in the light of being contenders for the AFC championship and possibly the Super Bowl. We have the Rams coming up. After that, their schedule becomes relatively favorable. I'll be honest. So this is why I still have the Titans winning the AFC South. This is why, it's possible that they'll make a run. Still, with no Derrick Henry, they did sign Adrian Peterson this week to counter that Derrick Henry injury. And again, the timetable on him is 6 to 10 weeks. So we don't know, if he should come back this year. We don't know what he'll look like. But there's a possibility with the extension of another game added to the NFL season this year, there is a possibility that he could come back and push the Titans over the hump, should that be what they need. The Rams this week, the Saints, which is going to be a very, very winnable game. The Saints the following week. Then they have the Texans, the Patriots, which I think that'll be probably their toughest matchup going down the stretch. Just because the Patriots are playing great football right now. Mac Jones, I was completely wrong about him. I'll come clean and say it right now. I was completely wrong about him, but we got something for that ass Sunday. And then, and this is what I told Kenny the other day. Because he said, you know what, you need to go on the pod and let people know that you were wrong about Mac Jones. And I said, you know what, you might be right. You're right. So I'll come up here and say right now, I was wrong about Mac Jones through the first 8 weeks of the season. I was wrong about him. But now he has to go see that defense in Carolina. And so then that's really going to tell me something. If he goes for over 350 yards passing, then I will come in here and the same way I slander Mac Jones, I will have a Mac Jones praise break, so to speak, praise break of Mac Jones, and I'll tell y'all everything that he does great. Until that point, it's still fuck Mac Jones. But Mac Jones has been playing a great brand of football. So, again, Rams, Saints, Texans, the Patriots. But, again, I think that they'll lose against the Rams, but I think they'll win against the Saints. I think they'll win against the Texans. The Patriots game is a toss-up. Then they play the Jaguars, the Steelers. May clip them because the Steelers, I believe, will make a push for the title in the AFC North. I really do believe that. Then they have the 49ers, the Dolphins, and the Texans again. So the Titans, as it pertains to the injury itself, they're still in a solid position just because the strength of schedule. So we'll see how that plays out for Tennessee. The NFL trade deadline was Tuesday at 4 p.m. The Broncos traded in the mega deal, the only deal really to note of the deadline. I want to say this happened a day before the deadline, so Monday. The Broncos trade superstar Von Miller to the Rams for a 2022 second and third round pick. The Broncos have also agreed to pay 9 of the $9.7 million Von Miller is scheduled to make this year. So with that move, the defense that the Rams already have, and now you add Von Miller to it. I know I've been gassing up the Cowboys. I know that, 2 or 3 weeks ago I said that the Cowboys were the best team in the NFC. I mean, the Rams are making it known that they believe that they have what it takes to win the Super Bowl right now. That's what that move tells me. And I mean, I have to come clean and say, with that move occurring, the simple fact of the matter is the LA Rams have now just become the best team in the NFC. They have. They have, man. Listen, the LA Rams are the best team in the NFC. I think that this move really, honest and truthfully, I still think that the Dallas Cowboys are going to be a threat. I do. I think that a lot of y'all may feel as though I'm dismissing the Bucs. I don't think that it's that at all. I really don't. I know Brady and all his greatness. I know that defense. They haven't lost any starters since last year when they won the Super Bowl. But I think a lot of teams in the NFC just simply have gotten better. And if the Bucs have to play, one of the three being the Cardinals, the Cowboys, or the Rams, I think that in the playoffs, anything can happen. It only takes one game. So here's my prediction. And y'all go ahead and get ready. My prediction is the Rams versus the Cowboys in the NFC Championship. And because of this move, unfortunately, for Cowboys fans around the nation, because of this move, I do have the LA Rams coming out of the NFC. Now, is that what I want to see? No, I don't. I want to see Dak Prescott get a ring. As sick as that makes me to say, because I know how Dallas Cowboys fans are. Listen, my dad has just been waiting to explode in ecstasy because of the way the Dallas Cowboys are playing right now. So it's just really going to make me sick if I have to hear him and Tavian and numerous other Cowboys fans that I know, talk about winning their first fucking championship in 35 years. But I would love to see Dak Prescott get a ring. I'm a huge Dak Prescott fan. Been a Dak fan for countless years, really, since he was a freshman, sophomore at Mississippi State. So I would love to see him get a ring. But with the move to obtain Von Miller, I do believe that the Rams currently have the best team to get the job done. Moving on relatively quick because I have to wrap up here soon. The Steelers trade edge rusher Melvin Ingram to the Kansas City Chiefs, and in return they received a 6th-round pick. It's really just desperation time for the Kansas City Chiefs, and if I had more time, we would dive into them. So maybe next week we'll take a look. But, 20-17 against the New York Giants. And I've just heard every analyst really say the same exact thing. And I think that all of us can agree. The Kansas City Chiefs just simply do not have it anymore. They don't have that swag. First couple years of their run, Pat Mahomes doing the little sidearm shit. He doing, just pulling stuff out of a hat, really. Pulling stuff out of his ass, matter of fact. And that just simply, the Kansas City Chiefs shouldn't have won that football game. They shouldn't. They shouldn't have. They shouldn't have won that football game. Fortunately for them, they did. But going back to the original point, the Kansas City Chiefs do make the move for Melvin Ingram. In return, the Steelers received a 6th-round pick. And this is, again, it's just a move of desperation for the Kansas City Chiefs. They know that something has to change defensively. They're aware of that, and I think that this was really the only move that they could afford to make before the deadline that would improve that defense just a little bit. So we'll see how Melvin Ingram fits into that scheme defensively. Very, very sad news, man. It's just very sad, unfortunate. Just very disappointing, very sad. Rest in peace and condolences to the victim of this particular incident. According to multiple sources, Henry Ruggs, ex-wide receiver, for the Las Vegas Raiders, will be charged with a DUI resulting in a death. That report initially came out, I want to say Tuesday morning, that Henry Ruggs was in an accident that resulted in victim passing away. And then later on Tuesday evening, Henry Ruggs was released by the Las Vegas Raiders. So, condolences to, all parties involved, specifically the victim in this tragic occurrence. Just very sad, man. Very sad. Unfortunate for the Raiders. Unfortunate for, Henry Ruggs just not making the right decision, really. Not making the right decision, man. These athletes, they're held at such a high standard, but we, at the end of the day, we have to realize that these guys are humans. These guys are humans and they make mistakes. This was just simply a huge mistake from Henry Ruggs, which unfortunately seems as though may cost him some time, may really cost him his life. Like, honestly, if we're just being honest about it, we did lose a life. So again, rest in peace and condolences to the family, and rest in peace to the victim of this tragic event. But I do believe Henry Ruggs is going to sit down for this. And that's really just unfortunate. Really just unfortunate news for him. But I do think that, I don't believe that if it was clear cut that he wasn't going to sit down for this, I think that the Raiders, would have tried some way to keep him on the roster, whatever may have you. But I think that he's going to sit down for this, and that really is just unfortunate. It's an extremely sad situation. So prayers to him, prayers to Henry Ruggs' family, prayers to, again, the victim's family. I pray that God brings them peace. Just very sad, man. Very, very sad occurrence. So that, I'm sure that'll be something to watch going forward as well. Aaron Rodgers lies about his vaccine card. And let me just tell you something, because, again, I have to go. I have 10 minutes left, so I'm going to try to get through the song of the week, and I'm going to try to get through our mailbag in that span. I hate that I had to cut it short because I did want to go into, more details and stuff like that with you all. But I'm going to get through this quick. Aaron Rodgers lies about his vaccine, and that's what I'm calling it. He lied. They asked him, they played the clips of them asking him earlier in the season. He gives some dickhead answer talking about he's immunized or whatever, however the fuck you pronounce, whatever. However you say it, whatever he said, he wasn't being completely truthful about what he had going on. Now the Packers have an outbreak. And it just simply opens the door for Jordan Love to take over the Green Bay Packers organization. Now, that might sound crazy to a lot of you all. It might. We don't know the repercussion that Aaron Rodgers will suffer for not having his vaccine and not being truthful about it. And when Jordan Love gets his opportunity this week, we don't know how he'll play. But this really could be the beginning of the end for Aaron Rodgers, and it could come at the hands of nobody but his own. So, yeah, all I'm going to say is Cam Newton came out and said he didn't have the vaccine. He was slandered. He was crucified for it. Who else? Cole Beasley is another guy that I know was crucified and slandered amongst the NFL community, just completely shit on. There's a couple of guys that already came out and said, one, they didn't have the vaccine. Two, they weren't getting it. Aaron Rodgers doesn't come out and isn't truthful with us about what he has going on. And so now this is what it results in. This could be the beginning of the end for Aaron Rodgers. Everything I say right now as well will be open-ended. As the story progresses, we'll pick back up on it. I gotta go today. Circling back around to earlier score that we highlighted, the Dallas Cowboys beat the Vikings with no Dak Prescott. So now I just want to simply pose the question, and this will be our mailbag question for the week. So this will kind of start our mailbag segment off, and then I'll give you the song of the week, and that's just how we'll close this week. We'll close with the song of the week this week. So this will start off our mailbag question or mailbag segment. Let's go from here. How long should the Dallas Cowboys sit Dak Prescott? Listen, we all noticed the injury Dak Prescott suffered last year. We know the severity of that injury. And then we know that Dak Prescott suffered a calf strain on the last play of the New England Patriots game 2 weeks ago. So, if I just paid my franchise quarterback the amount of money that I paid, the amount of money that the Dallas Cowboys paid for Dak Prescott, if it's me, I'm sitting at 6-1. There's absolutely no immediate threat in the NFC East at all. It's just simply not. Nobody's catching the Dallas Cowboys. If it's me, I'm sitting Dak Prescott at the very least for the next 2 weeks, because you have the Denver Broncos, which I think Cooper Rush can clip, and you have the Atlanta Falcons, which I know Cooper Rush can clip. Because with that wide receiver group, with Michael Parsons playing the way that he's playing, with Trayvon Diggs playing the way that he's playing, with the defense flying around, offensive line. Listen, there's no rush to me for Dak Prescott to come back. And what gives you the best chance to win the Super Bowl is sitting him now and making sure that he's 1,000,000% healthy. Because the next 2 games, you really don't lose. The Dallas Cowboys will not lose against the Denver Broncos. The Dallas Cowboys will not lose against the Atlanta Falcons. So then after those 2, I think that for me personally, if I'm the coach, if I'm Mike McCarthy or I'm the Joneses, Dak Prescott is, for a fact, not seeing the field for the next 2 weeks. He's not. And to be honest, let's just take a quick, very, very quick look at their schedule. 'Cause I gotta go, man. I gotta go. Can't be messing with y'all all day. But I didn't want to leave y'all hanging, of course. We take a quick look at the Cowboys' next 6 games. Broncos, Falcons, Chiefs, Raiders, Saints, Washington. Listen to me. The Broncos and the Falcons are clipped. I think that the Cowboys, even if they don't have Dak Prescott, you still have a chance to go into Kansas City with as pedestrian as their defense has been playing, with their offense looking, nonchalant, with all the things that are playing out right now with the Kansas City Chiefs. I'm considering, if it's me personally, again, I'm considering sitting Dak for the Kansas City game as well. Because listen, you're going to win your next 2 games. You're going to beat the Broncos and you're going to beat the Falcons. To me, that's just set. That's set in stone. Nobody can convince me otherwise. The Cowboys will win the next 2 games. Now, you can either play it by ear with Dak against Kansas City, if that game means that much to you, or what I would do, I would shut him down for the next 3 weeks, and then let's go back and get after it against the Raiders on November 25th. That's what I would do. That's just me personally. That's me personally. I think that's something that the Dallas Cowboys should consider. There's no point in rushing Dak Prescott back. These are very winnable games, man. Broncos, Falcons, Chiefs, Raiders, Saints, and then the Washington football team. All of those games are extremely winnable. I mean, regardless of you having Dak Prescott behind center or underneath center or not, really. I mean, I'm taking the Cowboys over the Broncos without Dak. I'm taking them over the Falcons without Dak. It's going to be a toss-up with the Chiefs. I'm not going to be, again, I just can't bring myself to be extremely disrespectful to the Chiefs just because of what I've seen them do over the past 2 years, 3 years. But, I mean, the reality of the situation is the Cowboys can beat the Chiefs without Dak Prescott too if the Chiefs continue to play the brand of football that they're playing. The only game that I can foresee them possibly losing without Dak Prescott within the next 6 games is the Las Vegas Raiders. Because then they after that, they play the Saints in a football team. So, I mean, it's really something that needs to be considered within the organization. I know that Dak Prescott, just based on what we've seen from Hard Knocks this offseason to the reports that we continue to hear with him saying that he's ready to go, he's a full go, he just needs the okay, whatever may have you. I know that Dak Prescott is not going to make the decision easy. I already know that. But sitting at 6-1, sitting at a top of your division, sitting at, one of the higher seeds in the NFC right now, I think you have some room for error. And with the way the team is organized and orchestrated right now and the way that the defense is complementing the offense, the way that the whole team is just playing complementary football, I think it's something that needs to be considered. I really, really do. Something that needs to be considered is shutting Dak Prescott down for, at the bare minimum, the next 2 weeks, if not 3. So my question to you, and this will open our mailbag segment, my question to you for this week, and again, you'll be able to check the polls. I will put it on my personal IG at @themythof_JJ. And then I'll put it on at Goodies and Two Shoes on IG, as well as at G2S Good Talk Pod on IG. The mailbag question for you all this week is simply, how long should the Dallas Cowboys shut down Dak Prescott for? And that's the question. I don't know if that was worded properly, but y'all get my drift. I'll figure out how to word it before we get to it. But how long should Dak Prescott be shut down? Let's put it that way. How long should Dak Prescott be shut down? Because again, Broncos, Falcons, Chiefs, Raiders, Saints, Washington football team. And then even after that, Giants football team again, and then you have the Cardinals, but to close out your season, you have the Eagles. I mean, listen, if it's me, I might try and get freaky. Because at this point, Dak has missed time. We know he's not going to win the MVP now. Just because he missed time. Everybody else that was in the race played at a phenomenal level. So it's not like he's going for MVP. The team that you have around Dak Prescott right now really can get the job done. And I believe even if Dak isn't under center, they can win. And I know that Dak is not going to sit out for nowhere near 7, 8, 9 weeks. That's just simply not happening. But if that were to occur, they'll win 1, 2, for a fact. Now, I'm going to say they'll win for a fact. 2, 3, 4, 5. They'd win 5 of their last 9 games. Yeah, they'd win 5 of their last 9 games without Dak Prescott. So then it just becomes, what are your priorities? Do you want Dak to stay healthy? Do you want him to be 100% healthy when he touches the field again? Are you trying to get that number 1 seed in the NFC, so you need him back ASAP? What are your priorities if you're the Dallas Cowboys? But trust me, there is a way out of this. And the best way to me is for a fact, without even a thought. I don't care what Dak has to say. I don't care what anybody has to say. If I'm Jerry Jones and I'm Mike McCarthy, Dak Prescott will not be playing the next 2 weeks. And it's just that simple. It's that simple. So let's move on real quick. I'm wrapping up here. Like I said, I will close with our song of the week. But here's our mailbag. Last week I asked who will win the AFC North and why. A lot of y'all didn't give me the why, the explanation. But y'all did give me some answers as far as who will win it. So I have one why. The Ravens because all the other teams are trash. That comes from Jordan. I do believe that the Ravens will win the AFC North as well. I think that the Cincinnati Bengals are really just it's fool's gold. What they have going on right now is fool's gold, really. We saw them get clipped against New York this past weekend. And I think that if you're really one of those teams, if you're really one of them ones, you don't get clipped by teams that you shouldn't get clipped by. And that was my problem with the Carolina Panthers over the past month of football that they've played. Because I don't believe that our team should be losing to those particular teams like the Vikings, the Eagles, the Giants, teams like that have no business really being on the same field as you. When you have mistakes like that within the season, that makes me look at you a bit different. And so for that, if I'm choosing between the Bengals and the Ravens, with the Ravens having to bye this past week, and with the Bengals being the only dominant threat immediately to the AFC North Championship besides the Baltimore Ravens, I mean, the Ravens having a bye week and the Bengals having to play, they could have separated themselves a bit. But instead they go to New York and get clipped. That shit just simply can't happen. Another response here, the Steelers, because we have Super Bowl champs on our team. And that is really something that will go unnoticed. And that came from Chase. That is something that will go unnoticed, that will play a big factor, that experience. Because you have to have experience to make a Super Bowl run. You have to have experience to make the playoffs. So I don't hate the Steelers. I just don't think that they have enough to get it done. I think that Ben Roethlisberger will hold them back too much to be able to get it done. So for that, I will go for Baltimore. I'm sticking with my AFC North champ being the Baltimore Ravens. Quickly through this, and I'm going to wrap up here. No explanation this week. I'm just going to go through the questions. I'm going to give y'all my answer. I might say 5 or 6 words to follow up my answer, and then we'll move on. I'm going to wrap it up. Will the Colts be able to win the AFC North with the injury sustained by Derrick Henry Sunday? No, they will not, because Carson Wentz is their quarterback. Who will be the face of the NBA 5 to 10 years from now? I think that there's really only one answer, and there's a counter answer that I may entertain for just a little while, but then I'll talk myself back into who I'm about to say. And the simple answer is Greek Freak. Giannis Antetokounmpo will be the face of the NBA 5 or 10 years from now, and he'll have one of the longer runs that we've seen. I think that his run will rival the run of LeBron James. Is Pat Mahomes still one of the most talented quarterbacks in the NFL? Is he one of the most talented quarterbacks in the NFL? Simple answer is yes. Is he the best quarterback in the NFL? 1,000% no. A lot of us, we got ahead of ourselves with the past 2 or 3 years of football that Pat Mahomes has played, and we crowned his ass way too early, and now it's backfiring on us because I was one of the ones. I was later on the Pat Mahomes hype train. I was later on it. I was one of the later ones to hop on, but I was one of the ones acknowledging that he might be the greatest quarterback that we've ever seen from a pure talent standpoint. And then his resume, when you look at his resume and the things that he's done the first 4 or 5 years of his career, really unrivaled. Now we're seeing, once teams start to figure that shit out, shit ain't sweet no more. So is he still one of the most talented quarterbacks in the NFL? Simply put, yes, he is one of the most talented quarterbacks still in the NFL. But has he dropped on that level? If we're looking at a top 5, top 10 list, has he dropped due to his performance this year? 1,000,000%. There's really no question. There's really no question.
But shawty come kick it, she bringin' her friends. Whoa, that nigga hot now. My niggas be getting the guap now. Pull up, we getting the bus and ain't up for discussion. Let's roll up a Russian. Lil' shawty, she cute and she give me concussion. Young Mason, he told me